Are you using LinkedIn for your business? Well, our guest today is going to talk about how you can use LinkedIn to basically shake money out of a tree. This episode is all about LinkedIn, boosting it for your business, and using it to network with high-level people and make money.
Welcome to Thriving Launch with Louise Congdon and Kamala Chambers, the show for heart-centered entrepreneurs who want it all.
5 days a week, we bring you different segments to inspire you to live a life of freedom. We interview the leading experts in the field of business, health, and love. Be sure to check out Training Tuesdays, where we give you a clear action plan to grow your own business.
Do you have a product or service that you would like to sell online? Or maybe you've been thinking about it, but you're reserved to do it because you need a website, you need complicated systems, and you need to spend money? Well, I've created a completely free course that teaches you how to use Facebook in a purely organic way. This means no ads and no money are needed. You can use Facebook completely free. So head on over to thrivinglaunch.com. Opt into my Profit from Social Media course. I'm going to teach you the free methods to using Facebook to make money today. On today's show, we're bringing on Karen Yankovich. One of the things to know about Karen is that she gets LinkedIn. She makes sales through LinkedIn. She's generating leads there. And it's a really untapped resource. Now, while LinkedIn is one of the fastest online growing kind of social media sites, a lot of people aren't tapping into its power. I have dozens, I have several thousand really connections inside of LinkedIn, and I've used it to network with some really hard to reach people and meet some incredible professionals. Now, I haven't used it very much for sales. And so I got really interested in how in the heck can I use this powerful tool that's untapped and yet has a huge resource of people and networking capabilities that no other website can really rival. So I contacted Karen Yankovich because I've been watching her, and she is doing some really incredible stuff with LinkedIn. She's really dialed it in, and today we're going to teach you exactly how you can brush up your page, use it not just for a resume thing, but for a networking thing, a lead generating space, a sales space, and use LinkedIn in its full capacity. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm really glad that you're here with Kamala and myself at Thriving Launch.
Welcome to Thriving Launch. Karen, are you ready to launch?
I am.
Well, LinkedIn can be an untapped market with so many other social media platforms competing. I'd love to hear, why should we be on LinkedIn? What would we be missing out on if we weren't on LinkedIn?
You know what you would be missing out on? You would be missing out on that chance to make a great first impression. And I'll tell you why I say that. If you're marketing your business online in any way, shape, or form, you're subject to people throwing your name in a Google search, right? Because they want to know more about you. And what's going to come up is your LinkedIn profile. So by taking the time to create a great profile and to be active on LinkedIn and to present yourself the way you would want to be seen, that's priceless. That's priceless.
Absolutely. And I mean, Luis, you're on LinkedIn. You're using it. We're both kind of
I don't really use
using
LinkedIn a whole lot, though. It hasn't been a fun social media for me, and it hasn't been a platform that I've really dived into. But one thing I know is that LinkedIn has, for business purposes, you're actually going to be dealing with some of the highest quality types of contacts. Isn't that right, Karen?
Absolutely. And you can go top down. Right? If you need to reach somebody, if you use LinkedIn, you can go right to them versus finding the receptionist, passing through all those walls that we put up for people to be able to get to us or to get to the people that we want to reach.
So what's something that we need to be doing on LinkedIn if we're not already doing it? We're all listening, saying, well, maybe we're already hustling on LinkedIn, or we want to start using it. What's that thing that we need to be doing for sure as a business owner?
So, I love social media. I use probably almost every social media platform, and I love them all for different things. And I get what you're saying, Louise, that you're not, it's not fun for you. But when I need to shake some money out of the trees, I go to LinkedIn, and that's fun for me. So when I need to kick up the revenues, or when I need, when I'm trying to launch a new product or service, or I need to find partners, or I go to LinkedIn for all the revenue generating activities. That's where I go first. And what I do, and one of the things that you could do kind of to answer your question, Kamala, is like, you can't go into LinkedIn and say, okay, I'm here. What happens now? Like, you have to spend time there, just like any other social media site. So let's just kind of use groups as one example. I hear a lot about how groups are, they're dead and there's not a lot of activity. So be the person that's creating the activity. Post questions. Go in and respond to other people's questions. If you go into, pick 5 groups that you think are really going to they're active and they've got people filled with the kinds of people you want to connect with, and start responding to every single post. Start responding to blog posts. Read the blog posts. Talk about, add your like little twist of genius to it. People are going to want to get to know you. They're going to be like, who is this guy that's always commenting on my blog post, right? And especially if those comments are authentic and they're, they show that you know what you're talking about, people are going to want to start to connect with you. You're going to start to see your connections grow. And as your connections grow, those are leads. Every single new LinkedIn connection is a potential lead of one form or another. So that's kind of one thing you can do. Just go in and just start sharing your genius all over the place and let people start coming to you, and they will come to you.
Yeah, so I'm hearing leveraging your groups on LinkedIn and really going in there, finding good quality groups and connecting and posting on there. And just like what, Luis, you do that in Facebook, like that. You use Facebook to shake money out of trees. And and I'd love to hear, okay, so now how do we stand out on LinkedIn? There's so many opportunities to post your resume and different things. What are some things that we should include in our LinkedIn profiles?
First of all, you need to remember that your LinkedIn profile needs to be client-facing, meaning don't just tell them, yes, it's about you, it's your personal brand, but make sure you're telling people how you help them, right? Because that's going to be more interesting to them. They're going to want to connect with you if you're telling them how you can help them. So maybe you're the CEO, and maybe that sounds impressive, but most people aren't searching for CEOs. They don't really care that you're a CEO. So make sure when you're writing your profile, you tell people how you can help them. An example is, I use this example a lot, is like, let's say you're a financial planner. You may be the most credentialed financial planner on earth, and you have all your credentials listed there. But if you tell me that you're a financial planner with all these credentials, I feel like you're the same as the 50,000 other financial planners on LinkedIn. But if you put in your headline, I'm a financial planner that help women over 50 migrate their finances from a corporate paycheck to a work from home or entrepreneur or a retired lifestyle, now I'm paying attention, right? So tell people how you help them in your profile. It's still about you, but make sure when you write it, you're telling, you're speaking to the people you want to read it.
This is making me think a lot about our interview where we talked about the About page.
Oh, yeah.
And how an About page, it has a lot to do with not talking just about yourself, but talking about how you serve the person who's chosen to visit your website. And I'm hearing that's, on LinkedIn, we don't really think that way. We think, this should be my resume. But what I'm hearing from you, Karen, is it's a lead magnet, and your LinkedIn page should really talk about how you serve your potential client, ideal client who's coming and visiting your page.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just like you should on your About page, give them a call to action. Tell them what you want them to do next. Tell them, here's how I want you to call me. Grab my free whatever, right? Listen to my podcast. Subscribe to my podcast. Tell them exactly what you want them to do next, and they will.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one place that we need to always focus on, is that call to action. Okay, so you're there, you're scrolling through. Now what? What do you want to do next? So my question is, how important is it to spend time and energy in getting endorsements on LinkedIn and really pimping out your profile? What are some key pieces of the profile that you absolutely need to have in place?
Yeah, I think it's extremely important to do that. And I think that's the first thing you need to do. Because if you're getting active in groups, what you want is when people check you out is for them to be impressed with you. So the first thing you need to do before you start getting active, if you want that activity to be most effective, is take some time to create a great profile. And that starts with a great headline. Again, your headline is not your job title. It's how you help other people. And I like to see in it who you are, who you help, and how you help them. and put that in your headline. And remember too, when you're doing all of this in your profile, think about keywords, because Google reads LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a huge search engine in and of itself. So if people are searching LinkedIn speaker, I want my profile to come up. So I make sure I use that in my headline. I use it in my summary, which is 2,000 characters that Google reads, right? So you want it to be client facing, but you also want to be very keyword rich. Think about what people are searching for that you want to come up as the search result, and use that over and over throughout your profile. So when people scan it, there's no doubt what it is you do and how you can help them.
And then you just do that through Google keyword search. Is that how you find which words to use?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can do that. I mean, you don't have to do that. That's great. That's a great way to do it. If you're not sure, ask some of your clients. Like, if I closed my business tomorrow, what would you be searching for to replace me? And ask people what they're looking for that you can help them with. So keyword research, and that, by the way, is something that applies to all social media sites, but most importantly to LinkedIn, because, as you said, and I kind of love that you mentioned the about page, because if you've talked about the about page, then you probably know that's most often the most visited page on a website. And that's because we want to know more about the people we do business with. So that leads me right to why you need to be doing all of those same things on LinkedIn. People are checking you out, so you need to check out.
We'll be sure, for all of you, we'll be sure to include the about page interview that we did. It's a fantastic interview, just like this one, that gives you like the layout of what to actually write on your about page step by step. And now we're getting the LinkedIn version of it, what to put on your LinkedIn profile step by step.
What do you think is a good call to action? That one's definitely got me stumped. Like, what should I be doing as a call to action on my LinkedIn?
It really depends on what you really want to happen. I mean, I know people that have quite literally grabbed URLs like talktokaren.com, right? And said, let's talk for 15 minutes. And they put their call to action. So they have that tied into a automated calendaring tool, right? And they literally get people to go right on their calendar. To me, I like to kind of warm them up a little first. I have a free video series. So I tend to sometimes put that in my header image, which I don't think it's there at this moment, but it probably will be there in a day or two. So I typically send people to my freebies, whatever I'm promoting that's free. That is typically the beginning of a funnel to something. I like to kind of bring people into my freebies. It may even just be, check out these 3 blog posts. These are my 3 most popular blog posts, or podcast interviews, right? So it's just about getting people into your funnel. I love it if I can make it something that at least gives me their email address.
I'm curious too, have you found certain ways to message or to connect with people that you want as potential clients? I've seen this done, one of our guest that will be coming on the show soon, Dennis Brown. He showed me a method. We haven't done that interview yet, but I'm curious, what are some ways that you found to reach out to people that you maybe want to connect with or maybe want as clients on LinkedIn?
You know what? For me, it always goes back to just be authentic. Most people will connect with you if you give them some reason to. So, find if you both worked at McDonald's when you were 20, or you both went to the same college, or you've got a couple of groups in common, right? So when you ask for that connection request, just put something in there that personalizes it. And I would say almost all of the time they'll accept that. Listen, there's people that just aren't active on LinkedIn. So you can't make somebody that doesn't look at LinkedIn for 2 years at a time connect with you. But if there are people that if you know that they're active on LinkedIn, chances are if you personalize your connection request, they're going to accept it. From there, I like to just really truly get to know them. Be of service to them. If they're writing on LinkedIn, share, like, and comment on their posts, right? Just continue to be of service up to them for, at least a couple weeks. And then maybe hit them up and say, hey, you know what? You do this, I do this. I think there might be some synergies here. Would you be open to a quick phone conversation? It's so much easier to do than you would imagine, because it happens so easily.
And now, what about publishing articles or publishing content on LinkedIn? Have you found ways that can be helpful, that maybe we should be doing that?
Listen, more eyes on your stuff is always a good thing, right? So if you create blog posts around your podcast, you can take that same blog post and post it over on LinkedIn as a LinkedIn long form post, and you can put the media right in there. You can link your top podcasts directly to each section of your LinkedIn profile. So I would absolutely use LinkedIn as a way to get more eyes on your content, either by kind of, it is quite literally duplicating it. I mean, on LinkedIn as a long form post, you could change it up if you want to, but I've done a ton of research on that and I see no need to change it up unless you want to. There's no Google dings or anything like that. And, maybe you'll get another 100 people that see it.
Now, Luis, I have a question for you, and this is because we're talking about LinkedIn, but you're a master of Facebook. You're a master at making money on Facebook without advertising, and this is what Karen's talking about, is making money through LinkedIn without advertising. How many of these methods that Karen's talked about apply to Facebook as well?
I don't really know LinkedIn too well, but almost everything that Karen has said is just really applicable. I just haven't played around in LinkedIn too much, and I know that I really want to, and that's why we've invited Karen on here. And also, one of the points that Karen made that I think is great is the more eyeballs on your stuff and the more places that you can be, the better. And I'm at least on LinkedIn. I have a lot of recommendations. I've given a lot of recommendations. I have samples of my work. At least maybe once a month, I'm getting a few hits from people writing me and saying, hey, I see that you do this. Can we chat about this or that? And I know if I was more active on there, I could have more leads, and it would be just another place to be generating leads. So I think that Karen's just totally spot on, and this stuff applies to Facebook, to LinkedIn, to Twitter. I mean, it applies everywhere, right? So it's really great content that you've been given here, Karen.
I agree with you, Luis, but I think that the thing that stands out for me on LinkedIn versus all of these other ones is people are more in networking mode on LinkedIn. You want to meet people on Facebook. I mean, you and I met on Facebook and we got on the phone pretty quickly. So those same kind of things can happen on Facebook, but on LinkedIn, it's just much more commonplace to say, let's talk. Maybe there's some synergies here. So I think it just happens more quickly. And that's kind of why I lean to it, because you go to a networking event, like a in-person networking event, you're looking to meet with people, you're looking to help each other out and support each other and see what kind of synergies there are. I think people have that same mindset on LinkedIn. I don't know if that same mindset is quite as prevalent on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. For sure, to some degree, it absolutely is.
Well, it's fantastic having you on the show. Karen, you've given us so many amazing tips for LinkedIn that we can go out and apply. And we want to make sure to include the links to you and everything that you have to offer, as well as the show notes. We're going to take all of this information and just break it down for you guys. You can get all of that at thrivinglaunch.com. Be sure to check it out over there. You've been listening to Thriving Launch Podcast. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. And
we'll see you all at thrivinglaunch.com with all the LinkedIn and
we want to see you on LinkedIn as well.
That's right.
Yeah,
thank you so much for coming on the show today, Karen.
Okay, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You've been listening to the Thriving Launch Podcast. For books and resources related to today's episode, make sure to head over to thrivinglaunch.com. We'll see you there.
Be sure to tune into our next episode where we're going to talk about how to use your relationships as a way for deep personal and spiritual transformation with author, speaker, and self-help teacher Guy Finley.